Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel, because today, the 9th of March 2023, is my year-and-a-half anniversary of starting to make booktube content, but not the anniversary of my channel overall. I decided I was going to do the Small BookTuber Tag. Question number 1, introduce yourself. My real first name is Anna, but I have preferred my middle name Ursula for many, many years. I'm an author of historical fiction. I currently have 12 books out. God willing, if everything goes according to plan, lucky number 13 will be released sometime in the autumn, and I additionally have work published in 6 various anthologies. I'm also an artist, but not a professional artist. I primarily work with colored pencils and pastels, and sometimes like watercolor pencils. And I'm looking to get more into paint. I just basically love all things historical. My degree is in history and Russian and East European studies, and I just love classic world literature. My dream hobby is like antique cars, particularly from like the first third or so of the 20th century, but you need a lot of money and land and time and stuff to do that hobby. And I love animals. I've seen almost to date almost 1,300 silent films. I absolutely love classic film from about like pre 1950 or so. I like some films from the 1950s and early mid 60s, but they're almost always from people who got famous from before the 1950s. And I also love classic rock and pop. And at some point in the future, I'm looking to start a second channel called An Older Pierced Person's Perspective. Believe it or not, I am 43 years old. I know most people probably wouldn't guess me as over 30, although I no longer look as young as I used to when I was much younger. Some people were really shocked to discover I was 18, 19. They thought I was all of 12 or 13 years old. Seriously, I don't think I looked that young when I was 18 or 19, but anyway, I do look a little bit more my age, but I know I look nowhere near. I'm 43, and so anyway, I absolutely love body piercings, body modification. I currently have 12 ear piercings at the moment. I have 5 in my right ear and 7 in my left ear, and I have 2 nostril piercings. And I'm looking to get more ear piercings and maybe hopefully some high nostrils during the course of this year. And obviously, I'll talk way more about my body modification plans and history and love and such on that second channel. Number 2, how long have you been on YouTube? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I started making specifically BookTube and AuthorTube content on the 9th of September 2021, but my channel is actually much, much older than that. If you go back and order my videos from oldest to newest, you'll see I began making content in the spring of 2011, and I also have some videos that went through 2012 as well. My first and my third videos were for contests, which I don't know if any of you guys in the writing community remember or know her, because she doesn't really do contests anymore. She just stepped back to focus on different things. But the writer Brenda Lee Drake used to hold contests on the regular on her blog, and these were videos I shot for 2 of those contests, and you had to do it through a video. And those videos are so old, they were shot by my ex when we were still together. Question number 3, what type of videos do you make? Now, I primarily make BookTube and AuthorTube content with a little bit of overspill into related areas, for example history or art or film, but if they're related to books or writing or such, or just sometimes just because I'm feeling doing something that's a little bit different. I know that kind of hurts your chances for building a consistent audience. Oh, I only care about watching videos about books or writing because there's such a big overlap. Some people do watch channels that are both BookTube and AuthorTube like mine, but oh, if you're talking about a film on this, oh, maybe the rest of your content will be like that, and I don't think I should watch you as much anymore. Maybe I should unsubscribe or whatever. So I know that can be difficult, but I primarily try to stick to books and writing. I also do a lot of Dantean content. That was the reason I returned to making content after so many years away. Well, actually, there was another reason too. I had a little problem. I was trying to upload one of my animal videos. Most of my earliest videos are various types of animals from around my community and such, and there was a big problem when I was uploading it. They just couldn't finish it, or there was some kind of technical problem. I just kind of gave up in frustration and didn't attempt to upload again for many years. I know that's kind of a childish cop-out or whatever, but I did finally get back to making content. So anyway, I went back to making content again in earnestness in September of 2021, because I was planning to, and I did do this, recite Canto 1 of Inferno in the original medieval Florentine Tuscan Italian, all 136 lines, and I still know them backwards and forwards like nobody's business, and I'm about halfway through, I would guess, Canto 2 in the original medieval Florentine Tuscan. I fell off the wagon a bit, going back and forth with memorizing it, and I think I kind of shot myself in the foot. I did a recitation video for Dante's 701st Yahrzeit death anniversary in 2022, but I kind of like Dante himself in this canto, life is imitating art. I lost my courage, and I had to like, look off the screen a little bit. You can see my eyes like drifting down, or like I knew the last like four turd sets, but I just like kind of like lost my courage and had to look down to read them because I didn't trust myself. And then I tried again like a week or so later, and I just kept messing up during the recitation, even though I know those lines so perfectly. And so that kind of made me a little bit discouraged, but I still like know all those lines by heart. I think I'm like up around to like 90, 100 or something. I'm sorry, I should have looked this up before starting the video, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to going back in earnest to memorizing Canto 2 and doing a recitation of that video. And so that was the reason, the long, the too long don't read version, that I went back to making videos after like not 9 years, because that recitation video was really, really important to me. And I was also doing a lot of videos based on blog posts I had written, because that was Dante's 700th yahrzeit death anniversary year, and I just wanted to reach a wider audience because I'd written so many blog posts about him over that year, and as well as into like 2022 and also this year too. Like that's one of my absolute passions. One of the works in progress is an alternative history about Dante and Beatrice, and I'm sorry if I've rambled so much with this question. Oh, and I'm sorry, I should have also mentioned the types of videos about books which I make. They tend to be like, current nonfiction about historical or sometimes scientific or religious topics, as well as great classic world literature. I absolutely love pretty much anything old. The same reason I love like old like antique classic cars. I love history. I like silent and early sound film, just like so many like classic rock and pop from like the mid 50s or so to like the early 80s. I realize that's not really considered like classic rock by some like purists, but it's so long in the past now that like the 80s are actually considered like part of classic rock, and sometimes I guess you can even push it a little further into even say in the early 90s. And so anyway, I do like reviews of books and talk about books and like literature topics in general, about like historical fiction and like very like intense serious world literature. I'm not a very light-hearted person, although I do love slapstick comedy. Oh, by the way, my favorite comedians are Laurel and Hardy, and like number 2 are the Three Stooges, and I also love the great classic clowns of the silent era, like Chaplin, Keaton, Lloyd, and Arbuckle. And I also love the Marx Brothers from the sound era, and like this is so many things. I know that's a topic for a whole other post. If I ever like get enough subscribers, maybe like you could ask me some questions about my like famous or my favorite classic actors in an Ask Me Anything video. Number 4, what do you love about BookTube? I love the chance to discover books I might not have known about, like people who are doing videos about books that are in a very similar vein to the ones I like. Like for example, they're doing, oh, this is like a classic like must-read list of historical fiction, like particularly if you like this era, or like writers from this corner of the world, or just things like that. Or sometimes like nonfiction, like, oh, I might not have heard about this book for any other reason, or if I hadn't heard about it on my own through BookTube, it would have taken years until I had a reason or like found out about it. So it's really good for building book recommendations, and hopefully in future I will finally feel like a real like integral part of this community and get an invitation to a friend group, because it's not really fun feeling like the permanent outsider looking in. Number 5, what types of books do you like to read? Now, I obviously already answered this question a few answers ago. I should have like looked harder at the question list I was reading. So I love like classic world literature. I particularly love like Italian and Russian and German literature. That's so like what my great loves of literature, like those are pretty much I guess like my big 3. And I also love like historical fiction, like I mentioned. Not only do I write it, I love reading it, and particularly like, well, I love like 20th century historical fiction, like the U.S. Civil War, and I'm slowly getting back into writing like 19th and 18th century historical fiction. So I guess I should look more to reading more of that as well. And I love like prehistory and the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, and I would love to find like more historical set during like Heian and Nara, Japan. Those are the last 2 eras of classical Japanese history, which overlap a bit with the Middle Ages in Europe. And I would just love to see like more like Asian historical fiction. That would be great as well. Oh, and the Golden Age of Islam. I believe I do have a video about like 10. I think I made it 11 because 11 is my lucky number. Like 11 historical fiction settings I absolutely love and would really, really like to see more of. Oh, and like Georgia and Armenia, I would love to see more historical fiction from there. I guess you guys can go and check out the video. I have a playlist. I'm not sure if it's on my main channel page, but you can like find it in my playlist if you go through them, like about top 10 videos I did. There's not too many videos in that list as well. I should also mention my top 5 favorite writers are Alexander Isaievich Solzhenitsyn. Not only he's my absolute favorite writer, he's also one of my heroes and one of my literary idols. I absolutely love so much to him. I even dedicated one of my books in part to his memory, because like I just couldn't have done that or gone back to that book if he hadn't, like, come to me, like, not like, I never physically met him. One of the greatest regrets of my life is I never wrote him a letter in all the years our lifetimes overlapped. But, he just like really, really inspired me after I discovered his writing and totally like fell in love with him to go back to that project. It, like my Russophilia was like, like firing on all cylinders, like, let's freaking go already. Number 2 is Hermann Hesse. I also have a playlist about Hermann Hesse on my channel, like reviewing some of his books and talking about his like influence on my life and such. And I do hope to fill that up with more videos in future. I also love Anton Pavlovich Chekhov. Like I discovered him when I was just turned 16 years old. Although I first read a short story from him in my 7th grade English class, which was at the 8th grade honors level. It was called The Ninny, but I guess it didn't really take, and I didn't really like fall in love with him until I discovered and started reading his short stories seriously, like 4 or 5 whatever years after that. And number 4 is of Ivan Sergeyevich Turgenev. I absolutely love him. He just had such a sensitive soul. I love the kinds of things he wrote about. It would be really cool to hang out with him. And also really of note, not only was he like, he was, like kind of like high class born and such, but he had a great, love and genuine sympathy for like the peasants, the serfs. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm a bourgeois or rich out of touch snob and I'm gonna like write about this like romanticized vision of like the working class or the poor, the peasants, or like a charity project. He genuinely cared about them, and he was like a Ukrainophile as well. He was a big champion of the Ukrainian people, and he like spoke and he wrote Ukrainian as well. He also did some translations into Russian from Ukrainian, so that's like another reason I love him. And number 5 is Dante Alighieri. You can see my Dantean shelf is behind me. One of my other translations of the Divine Comedy by Lawrence Binion. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast. I'm still not 100% confident in front of the camera by Lawrence Binion. I thought I had put in a box of special books and other things to come with me when I was moved out of New York in 2017, but unfortunately it looks like that book went into storage, unfortunately. So, God willing, I will finally have all my books out of storage sometime in the near future. And so anyway, I absolutely love everything about Dante. I have a whole playlist called All About Dante and the Divine Comedy, and look for more videos coming into that, like over the course of, like the coming years, and I'm sorry, I can't say enough about how much I absolutely love him. And that kind of leads into question number 6. What is your favorite video that you've made? That was my recitation of Canto 1 of Inferno on Dante's 700th death anniversary. Like I can just like, give me any line and I'll immediately like start from that point on. Like I just like know it like backwards and forwards, and it's like kind of even like, oh, I have an elephantine memory, so it's not really that difficult for me to memorize even like a much longer piece. Although I realize like 136 lines of anything is difficult, but when it's like not in your native language, like I never learned Italian to fluency, but like I'm studying it again. I did take some classes and such like my senior year of high school, but not only is it not modern Italian, it's like an older version of Italian, which is not really spoken anymore, and some of the things are like kind of different from modern Italian and the medieval, and it's not even like Italian older style. It's like a dialect like Florentine Tuscan. So like there was like a really big challenge, and that's why I'm really eager to finally get back to memorizing Canto 2. Again, I think about halfway through when like Beatrice is like telling Virgil is telling Dante about how Beatrice summoned him and like all the things she said to him, and like he's like getting to the end of this little story he's like telling Dante. And so like I can't wait to get back to that, and hopefully you guys will stick around when I do my recitation video, hopefully without messing up that time. Now, question number 7 is to tag a bunch of small booktubers, but like I still am not really sure like who exactly is watching my videos, because I can never be sure from like video to video. Sometimes like I don't get comments on videos, or sometimes one person will comment on a few videos in a row and then not again, or like one person will comment on a video every so often. I'm not saying this to throw shade or insult anybody. I'm just like saying it like as like a general observation. I do have a very like blunt, straightforward, working class way of speaking, and some people might interpret that as rude, God forbid, but that's just genuinely how like working class people talk. We're not all like polished and like bourgeois or rich people. That's just like a natural style of talking if you're like socialized in the working class proletarian world. So anyway, like I'm never quite sure who might be watching my videos, and so I always say like, oh, if you're watching this and you haven't done it yet, or you're interested in the tag, you can like go ahead and tag yourself and do the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have liked what you see and you enjoy my like deadpan serious presentation style and the kind of content I do, like please consider subscribing and sharing the video across different social medias. And again, like leaving a comment, I really like appreciate and enjoy seeing comments, because it helps me to network and make friends and make me feel like I'm not wasting my time. And hopefully I finally learned my lesson from my last video, which was about illustrations of Bartolomeo Pinelli of the Divine Comedy, which he did in 1825 and 1826. I literally spent like almost all day making that video, even before I started filming, like just gathering all the images together and then like all the editing and the uploading and metadata and the filming itself and such. And so like I realized it's probably a bad idea for me to make so many like kind of niche videos, like things that aren't like, I know they're not like general interest or more mainstream. I should like kind of like hold off on that until I have like built up a larger friend group of people who like me and my personality, and they'll basically be interested in a lot of the types of videos I do regardless, instead of videos like more geared towards like less general interest people. Like, and I'll be doing more videos like this tag, and I do have 2 tag videos to catch up on, including one I was tagged on I think like in September or something, so that's like really far in arrears, but I do need to still get around to that. So anyway, hopefully I will like make more friends and like continue improving my channel and improving my confidence in front of the camera. I do apologize if I seem to be speaking too fast. That's like, an unconscious tick, I guess, because I'm still not completely comfortable in front of the camera. And so again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you again. Bye.